And so the story here was Clayton Kershaw, who was tap dancing with perfection. The much maligned Dodgers starter over the years, Kershaw was tossing a masterpiece. He was painting the Mona Lisa, and he had gone 7 innings of perfection. I'm assuming you heard by now, and he had retired the first 21 Minnesota batters, one after another, not even sniffing first base. 13 of those 21 batters were struck out through 7 innings. Nobody had obviously been walked. He had pitching a perfecto. Only thrown 80 pitches. It was child's play. He was making a mockery of the Minnesota Twins. And then the Grim Reaper, Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts came out and said, no, we're going to stop the party. Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes on the historic performance. And he said, you know what? I'm going to take this guy out of the game. He removed Clayton Kershaw, took him out of the game. Out of the game to the Dodger bullpen. And so they started the conga line of relief pitchers, and sure enough, 1 out into the 8th inning, former Yankee Gary Sanchez gets a base hit. No perfect game. No hitter. And then after the game, Dave Roberts, did you hear what he had to say? He claimed that it was a joint decision. Roberts, talking to the assembled media, said that, rather than me tell you what he said, why don't we just hear from Dave Roberts himself? Here's Roberts trying to explain why he stopped a player from reaching individual greatness.
After the 6th inning, I just went to him and said, hey, where are we at? What do you got? He said, I'd like to go back out there for the 7th, and 80, 85 pitches, that's kind of where I want to finish. And it makes sense, and I was good with that.
Yeah, I was good with that, he said. There you go. He also went on and said, but at what cost, he said. Every decision I make is for the best interest in the player and their health, Roberts opined. So then we pivot over to Clayton Kershaw. It turns out that Kershaw was singing from the same song sheet as Dave Roberts, the company line. So let's go to the audio tape, as Warner Wolf would say. Here's Clayton Kershaw, who claims, you know what? It would have been selfish. It would have been selfish to have a perfect game.
Yeah, I mean, I knew going in that my pitch count wasn't going to be 100, let alone, 90 or whatever. So it's a hard thing to do, to have to come out of a game when you're doing that. But like I said, we're here to win, and that this was the right choice.
Do we have the one where he said it was selfish? Because that's the money soundbite. That's the money soundbite right there.
But at the end of the day, those are individual things. Those are selfish goals, and we're trying to win, and that's really all we're here for.
There you go. All right, better late than never. We finally got it, though. That's good. Finally got the soundbite. All right, so let us discuss the question: does Dave Roberts pulling Clayton Kershaw work for anyone? Now, where I come from, under no circumstances. When I was listening to the game on the radio, old school. Go somewhere's driving. When Kershaw came out of the game, what are you doing? This is a dereliction of duties. A dereliction of duties. So I've got pink neon lights, Wizard, and Poindexter. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a wonderful, wonderful Juicy Lucy, a traditional, very popular dish in the Twin Cities. So, number one, Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts is a bozo. I liked him in that spot. And the people defending Dave Roberts are scoundrels of fun. A bunch of Mama Lukes. What are we doing here? Clayton Kershaw had a chance to become the 24th pitcher in baseball history to throw a perfect game, to write his name. They've been playing baseball for over 150 years, and 23 pitchers have pitched perfect games. It is a smaller fraternity than the Hall of Fame. You think of all the accomplishments in baseball, there's a finite amount that have had a perfect game, and instead, Captain Hook comes out and says, no fun today, and the people defending it is pure lunacy. And Dave Roberts, Listen, he got the extension. He's going to be around. I get it. He's a punching bag and all that. But Roberts on this one is the evildoer. In this little chapter of the book, when it comes to pitching accomplishments, it is Dave Roberts' goal that none of his pitchers reach greatness. Now, what is my evidence? Let me make my case here. The most incriminating piece of proof I have, you know what it is? It's Dave Roberts' track record, and it's written in pink neon lights. Right? Pink neon lights since 1901, over 120 years. There have been exactly 2 pitchers who have been pulled after a 7+ perfect inning performance. You obviously know one of them, Clayton Kershaw. It happened in the game on Wednesday. How about the other one? Let's go back. 2016. Rich Hill. Rich Hill on the hill. Who was the Dodgers manager of that game? Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts.
I liked him in that spot. I really did.
So Roberts is fine with this. He's in lockstep. I understand it's an organizational philosophy, but Roberts fully endorses it. I look at this as baseball malpractice. The game was over. The Dodgers had a commanding lead. It's early in the season, the perfect time to do something like this. And Dave Roberts, no. So the prosecution rests against Roberts. Now, we turn over to page 2, and that would be Clayton Kershaw. Now, we played the soundbite there. Kershaw excusing Dave Roberts and running interference, which is both bewildering and disenchanting. Those are words I would use to describe that. And for Kershaw to say that it would be selfish to have a perfect game. Does anyone listen to that and think, yeah, he's right. That's really selfish. David Wells, selfish. David Cohn, selfish. Go down the list of the perfect games of baseball. All selfish. They're all selfish. Listen, my theory is that Kershaw was being a politician, a good soldier, publicly. Company man. What happens in the clubhouse stays in the clubhouse. You would like to think, at least I would like to think privately, behind closed doors, Clayton Kershaw was enraged. And if Kershaw's cool with this, then he gets downgraded several notches in my book. How could you possibly be okay with that? Now, I get it. I'm from a different generation. I mean, juxtapose how baseball has been played over the years, up until the last 10 years or so. And when I was a kid, I grew up with Tommy Lasorda was managing the Dodgers. And Lasorda, may he rest in peace, Tommy would leave guys in to finish what they started, come hell or high water, or didn't matter, pitch counts be damned. The great Fernando Valenzuela. Gold standard, Fernando Valenzuela. Now, it was a World Series game, but in the early 80s, the Dodgers were playing the Yankees in the World Series. And Lasorda left Fernando on the mound. He threw 146 pitches. 146 pitches against the Yankees in a World Series game. Fernando Mania. Nowadays, you would be called into The Hague for a war tribunal. If you did that, you would be banned for life from baseball. But shouldn't there be a compromise? Isn't there a way to find common ground? Now, John Wooden, the Wizard of Westwood, wrote The Pyramid of Success, which is still used. Wooden's been dead for a number of years, but that's still used by businesses and people in sports. And the 25 common behaviors of success, John Wooden wrote. At the very top of that pyramid of success, the very top triangle, competitive greatness. And Wooden wrote, be at your best when your best is needed. Enjoyment of a difficult challenge. Enjoyment of a difficult challenge. Now, forget about it, right? Forget about it. You're the problem. What do you expect a guy to go out there with 80 pitches and try to complete a perfect game? What's wrong with you, you heathen? You animal. It's ridiculous, right? So now the difference, but they say the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just a little extra. But in today's world, in athletic competition, it is embrace ordinary. It is embrace ordinary competitiveness, which I find deplorable. The last perfect game was in August of 2012. So we're coming up on the 10-year mark since the last perfect game. Felix Hernandez of then the Seattle Mariners had 113 pitches. A month before that, Matt Cain of the Giants had a perfect game in 2012. He threw 125 pitches in that perfect game. And you watch the clips on YouTube. I do recommend that because you have a better chance of goblins coming in and going through the drive-thru at Taco Bell for some late-night munchies than seeing another perfect game with this mindset, which has infected Major League Baseball, and it just keeps going and going and going. All right, final point here. So it's been a little bit difficult for me to. I watch all these games. It's difficult to wrap my head around the soft serve, which is prevalent. It's not just baseball. It's load management in the NBA, which I still can't figure out, and how the NBA's fully endorsed that. Now Adam Silver realizing the ratings are down and the gamblers are upset, says, well, we might want to put the toothpaste back in the tube. Good luck on that. But baseball, taking pitchers out, throwing a perfect game with 80 pitches. And then you have these overprotective helicopter parents who are in charge of the front offices in American professional sports. And you go back to some of the pitchers who were able to pitch tons of innings, and in baseball in particular, Nolan Ryan, Steve Carlton, say, wow, those are unicorns, those are freaks of nature and all that. There's a couple of legends of the game, and both those guys had a similar philosophy that you have to throw more, not less, more. Your body gets stronger. You're not injuring yourself by throwing more. You're actually creating longevity. But nowadays, no. So who's responsible? I got the answer. Blame it on Felix the Cat's old partner, Poindexter. It's all about Poindexter. The Brainiacs have used the art of persuasion to hit the daily double. Not only have they convinced the players in today's sports that they should do the bare minimum. Not only that, right, like a DMV worker, just kind of sitting around, government worker, the cliche of a government worker, but they have also brainwashed a generation of baseball fans and sports fans in general to think this stuff's good, which is perplexing. You take a guy like Mr. October, Reggie Jackson, who asked poetically, what's the game coming to? Mr. October, this is baseball. Please. He says, please, people that have never played, get out of the way. No, I don't know. You cannot play the game and still run for office. This is an illness. It is paralysis of analysis. According to big data, Clayton Kershaw's arm would have fallen off his body had he gone to 90 or 100 pitches. And the reason they bring that up, because there was a guy for the Toledo Mud Hens who tossed 105 pitches and spontaneously combusted on the mound. All that was left was a pile of ashes. Unless that didn't happen, unless that's bullcrap. Right? The irony of this is we'll bet you dollars to donuts that Clayton Kershaw inevitably is still going to end up on the disabled list or whatever the wokesters are calling it now in Major League Baseball. That is a stone cold lock, a guarantee. So what did you really accomplish? Kershaw's still going to get hurt, right? He's still going to get hurt at some point. He's on the injury list, disabled list, whatever it is during the season. Yeah, this is his last opportunity at a perfect game. You think he's going to have another game like that? The odds are against it. Everything was perfect for him. And you got a bunch of people that think they know when the body is going to self-destruct. It's just maddening. It's just absolutely, a bunch of people need to be slapped. They need to be slapped. Get some common sense into them. Please stop the madness. It's ridiculous.